Well, it's now been approved that we move forward with the purchase of the equipment that we need in January of 2012. We are tied to some outside sources as far as our ability to implement the system. We will be working with the RCMP to get their approval. So we're hoping to roll this out in February. If in fact there's going to be some delays beyond February, then we're going to have to look at other options available to us. But certainly the deputy's done some yeoman's work in relation to the research that was required to move this forward. But as you indicated, this has been causing some hardship for community groups that are looking to maintain and recruit volunteers, as well as for people out there in the community that are looking for employment but require a vulnerable sector check in order to have that as a requirement of their employment.
How will this new system work?
Well, the new system it will be working the same as what we have in place, where people will come in, make the application. We would have their fingerprints sent, and it's real-time identification. So the RCMP would be able to verify the fingerprints and get that back to us within a number of hours, as opposed to the months that it's taking right now. So it's an electronic submission, basically.
And being electronic, how do you guarantee that people, when you're doing this, that they're safe and their identities are kept safe? Yeah,
there's no issues that way. It goes directly from our police service to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and then the response is provided by them.
So the benefits are that people get to work faster, volunteer organizations benefit that way as well?
Absolutely. The delay right now is an external delay to us. Like, we were able to expedite our process is to have people come in, complete the documentation, and have them fingerprinted. It's once the fingerprints are sent away for analysis. So this will be an electronic submission that's matched instantaneously, and we'll have a response within hours, as opposed to the months that it's currently taking for some members that have applied.
The delay occurred back in the summer of 2010 when changes were made to the process that the RCMP uses to conduct a name check on individuals who need a vulnerable sector search done for either volunteering or employment. And a vulnerable sector search is one where the person is going to be dealing in a position of responsibility with either young children or adults who have maybe a disability or are elderly and need an additional level of protection to them. So these vulnerable sector searches are done to ensure that that person has a clear record. The change in the process took place when it was identified that legal name changes in most provinces except for two do not require the submission of fingerprints along with the name change to the RCMP. So someone could legally change their name, have a sex offender record, and when you query them under their new name, it would not find them. So therefore, the searches were changed so that now when you do a vulnerable sector search on a person, it first is done under your name and date of birth, and then after that, they do a second search, if nothing comes up, under your gender and date of birth. So that's a very broad search, and you're getting a lot more false positive hits as to that person having a record. If someone gets a false positive hit, or if it is a positive hit, then it's necessary for us to have the person submit the fingerprints to the RCMP to match up against the actual record of that person to confirm that they are not or are the person. So that's causing a lot of people to have to go through that process. When we send the fingerprints in right now by paper, the return can take several months because it's a time, labor-intensive process to do that check. By going to an electronic fingerprint submission, when the check is negative, we can get a response back probably the same day or within days. So it'll certainly be an advantage to people who are seeking employment or volunteer activities to move on with their applications.
How were you able to speed this up?
Well, by implementing technology, it's called live scan technology in general, and what it does, it allows us to take the person's fingerprint, palm and fingerprints, electronically, and then electronically submits up to the RCMP. There's a matchup done electronically at their end, and if it's negative, it comes back to us saying the person's not the same person. So,
because you were getting a lot of, I don't know if complaints are the right words, but a lot of concerns.
Oh, certainly, and we still are, and it's definitely a concern to the public. It's impacting on them, their ability to get employment or to volunteer.
Okay, great. And this should be done hopefully early in 2012?
Subject to those questions that we still have to have answered, we're hoping for the end of February, if not sooner. But if it goes longer than that, we'll have to look at other alternatives to try and deal with it.